we got to talk a little bit more. But Sean Strickland is a
Go
badass.
ahead. Start it off. We'll talk about it right now. Go ahead. Start it off.
I honestly saw the first 2 rounds going to Strickland, and after that, the third round, it was a coin flip. He didn't do enough to win that round, and from then on, he didn't do enough to win the judges over. That was my thing. First 2 rounds, I give it to Strickland, but after that, I feel like he did not do enough to win the judges over. He had a amazing jab, and I don't even know if you could call that a fucking jab. It's just a hammer he throws out there, and he just laying it into him the whole thing. But it wasn't enough. I would have liked to see him continue those teeps he had in the first 2 rounds and actually press him a little bit more. There was a little too much defense, just waiting for the guy to come to him. He needed to scrap a little bit more. It needed to be a little bit more scrappy for him to win the fight.
So did you have it 3-2 Duplessis?
Yes, 3-2.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
But I got to point one thing out. Did you see motherfucking Sean Strickland today up on that ladder putting AC on? Dude, take a break. He had a big-ass fight the other day, busted his eye open, and he's putting the AC up today. It's like,
oh, man.
That's some real badass shit right there, bro. That's some man shit.
And we got to talk about that eye, too. We'll talk about that shit, too.
He's the MMF, the manliest motherfucker. But nah, man, that fight, it was really hard for me to judge, especially watching it live, because like how Isaac was saying, it was really just like so intense. I had it live going to Driscus, but looking back at it, watching it back a couple times, looking at the damage, seeing everything, taking everything into account. I mean, if you're looking at the MMA rule set, and this is where I'm saying if we look at the MMA rule set, we're going first by damage. DDP was visibly very, very hurt throughout the fight. It may not have been wobbled, may not have been, but very visibly disfigured. And I feel like for the judges to not take that, I don't know, like I just feel like although there was the 6 takedowns, do not get me wrong, I full-heartedly agree that Sean Strickland definitely does need to improve on the takedown defense and being able to work off the cage a little bit more, kind of like how Hike was saying. I felt like he was in a defensive position at some times in the fight. I still think that with the time that he was given, he was still winning the fight. It kind of reminded me of like the Cheeto Vera Rob Font situation from a couple years back. I mean, Rob Font I think he outstruck Cheeto by a massive amount of strikes, but Cheeto's strikes were very, very much visibly doing way more damage than any of Rob Font's. Yeah. And that was a perfect example of what the MMA rulebook should kind of be judged off of. Obviously, we all seen Cheeto beat Rob Font's ass, but the main point of it was that it was the damage that was the main point for Cheeto winning that decision. So I don't know. I feel like the consistency within judging is very it's lackadaisical at sometimes. It's just, they're just like, oh, let's give this guy the win because he looked like he was on top a little bit more of the time. I genuinely don't have words for it. It's very frustrating as a fan because I don't even know who wins fights sometimes. Like it's infuriating, but I would have to say watching it back, 3-2 Strickland. Although I do not think although I think the takedowns were a factor, I don't think that they do anything over the damage that he put on Driscus, man, because that was insane.
Yeah, and to your point, when it comes to the judging, it's tough, man. I mean, all three of us have been there live at regional shows, professional shows, amateur shows, and sometimes we can't even figure out like who's winning especially in a close fight like that. You know what I'm saying? So I could only imagine the judges, and we have the luxury of we're watching this on TV, or if you're in the arena and you're getting to watch it on live, but also on the big screen, you get multiple angles. A lot of these judges, I mean, they don't get to see most of the fight because of the angle that they're sitting at. They have to sit at that specific spot, and whatever they see, that's what they have to judge off of, you know? And like to your point, Michael, I also had it Dricus winning live, but when I watched it back, I did have Sean winning, and I think I think the reason why I had Dricus winning, and for me, the deciding round was round two. Why I leaned towards Duplessis in round two was because of the head kicks and because of the takedowns. Also, because of round one was such a bad round for him, it made round two look that much more better because he did way better in round two than he did in round one. So I think maybe myself, the judges, and everybody else that watched it back and actually gave that round to Sean kind of judged it based on the previous round, and that's we're humans, right? So we have that human error. So the judges are probably doing the same thing. They're like, oh man, like Dricus wasn't doing shit the first round, and now he's doing something, and he has a couple head kicks and this and that. So they probably lean in giving him the second round. But also to your point, when you look at the damage, there wasn't as much damage on Sean that there was on Dricus. So in retrospect, I think Sean should have won the fight if we're going based off of the rule sets and everything like that. But the reality is he didn't win.